How tall does a mechitzah in a shul need to be?
A mechitzah in a shul. The source for mechitzah appears in two places in the Gemara. I think if we understand the source for the mechitzah, the reason for the mechitzah, it'll be easier for us to understand how tall does the mechitzah have to be. One source for the mechitzah appears in the Gemara, Sukkah, that speaks there about the Simchas Beis HaShe'eva. The Gemara there speaks about the idea that in the Beis HaMikdash there used to be Kalus Das. Kalus Das means the opposite of seriousness. This was during this big Simcha of Simchas Beis HaShe'eva. They used to dance every night, the whole night. A lot of dancing going on. There's a lot of light going on. And they came to Kalus Das. They came to a lack of seriousness in the Beis HaMikdash. They tried all kinds of tricks. They tried putting the men outside, the women inside, the opposite. It didn't work till eventually they built a balcony. They built some kind of a porch around in the area called the Ezras Nashim, and that the Gemara calls it a Tikkun Gadol, a great correction, a Tikkun Gadol. This is the first source for a mechitzah, as we said during Simchas Beis HaShe'eva Maseches Sukkah. There's another source for mechitzah in the Gemara Kiddushin that speaks about Abayi and Rave, that during a drasha or during a chuppah, during a chasana, they used to put up a mechitzah. It depends what type of mechitzah they used to put on. Some would put these big flower pots, and some would put these poles. However, there was a mechitzah between the men and the women, as we said, by a drasha or by a chuppah. By both sources, both the Gemara in Sukkah and the Gemara in Kiddushin, there's two opinions what was the purpose of mechitzah. There's the opinion of Rashi. The opinion of Rashi is Sheloi yisarbevu ze bozeh. They shouldn't mix together, the men and the women. Rashi, in fact, says by the Gemara Kiddushin that they shouldn't come to a point called yichud, lo yisyachtu zeim zeh, that the mixing should even cause a further thing of yichud. This is the reason for mechitzah by Rashi, both in the Gemara Sukkah and the Gemara Kiddushin. However, the Rambam in Perush HaMishnayos in Maseches Sukkah and the Tosfos in Kiddushin says that the reason is not just they should not be mixing one with another. The reason is shelo yisnu eineihem ze bozeh. They shouldn't eye each other. They shouldn't see each other. They shouldn't look at each other during the Simchas Beis HaShe'eva or during the drasha or the chuppah. And that is what the Tosfos brings down, as we said, and the Rambam and Perush HaMishnayos. The reason is not just not to mix. The reason is also not to see each other, not to look at each other during these times. However, the poskim, the later on poskim, it seems from most poskim that the reason for the mechitzah is not just not to mix. It is specifically not to see and not to look. During davening, it is for sure. During a drasha, it is for sure. So much more when it comes to a time of dancing, to a time of simcha, a time we know simcha is peiretz geder, breaks boundaries, which could be very, very good, breaking boundaries with one another. But when it comes to ideas of tznius, that's when you specifically need to have a mechitzah. Obviously, in a time of simcha, obviously in a time of people being together, people dancing, then the mechitzah should for sure be a mechitzah, not just not to mix, but not to see each other. The Rebbe brought down many, many times in letters, especially in the first years, that the concept of mechitzah is not to see, not to look, and not to compromise on a low mechitzah, which could in fact divide, that they shouldn't mix, but does not work for the idea of not looking and not seeing each other. And that is the way that us, Lubavitch Chassidim, people that follow Shulchan Aruch, people that try to be Mehadir and Mitzvahs, obviously we do a mechitzah in a way that it should not be able to see, and not just, you should not mix. An interesting point about mechitzah is the Rebbe's letter about mechitzah regarding chasanas. The Rebbe quotes the Sefer HaChasidim. The Rebbe quotes the Sefer HaChasidim that if there is a chasana or a sheva brachas that doesn't have a mechitzah, then the usual way of saying a zimun, of reciting a zimun by a simcha, is shehasimcha b'me'ena, that the Eibishter with his happiness is dwelling among us. And the Rebbe says that this usual way should not be recited. The Rebbe brings, as I said before, from the Sefer Achsidim, Shahasimcha b'me'ena is not recited in a simcha that has mixed seating or mixed dancing, that doesn't have an appropriate mechitzah, because the Eibishter does not feel comfortable, kivyochel, dwelling among us and participating in our simcha, and therefore they are brought down from Sefer Hachsidim that we do not say Shasimcha Me'enai when there's an unappropriate mechitzah in that specific simcha. The Rebbe does say in the letter that he knows that the Levush brings down that we still say if people address tznius, but the Rebbe says we know that in our times it's not the times of the Levush from over 250 years ago. We know that in our times the ability of Chas V'Shalom, the Yetzer Hara coming and participating in the Simcha is very, very big, and therefore we have to set the right boundaries. And when we set the right boundaries, the right mechitzas, we know the Eibishter is participating in a Simcha together with us and reciting all brachas to all participants and to the Chas and Kala in particular. I want to add just two small details, two pratim, just to finish this idea for now. One, it's not seeing one another. It's mainly the men not seeing the women. That's the main reason of the mechitzah. Obviously in shuls, women look in and could see the men, and the idea of mechitzah is men not looking in to the woman's side. Second thing is, the answer of how tall does mechitzah have to be is a very, very general answer, because as I said before, the idea is that the mechitzah should be in a way that you should not be able to see. How high should it be? It changes in different situations. For an example, we know that if the mechitzah is in a higher level than the men, the mechitzah could be a drop smaller, a drop lower. Yet, if they're sitting side by side, obviously the mechitzah should be at least higher than the regular kremas ish, than the regular height of people of an individual.